Good morning, YouTube, and happy Friday. I hope you had a wonderful week with your students. I'm in early this morning because I have to set up our last activity, or really, I was going to call it a lab activity, but we're making ice cream, so it is kind of our last lab, I guess you could say, where they're going to be making ice cream and learning about freezing point depressions. So it's going to be a great day for the AP Chem kids. My CP kids are working on their review guides for the final exam. And I'm going to obviously talk to you a little bit about my setup for ice cream, but this video, I didn't really want to talk so much about that because I know I did an ice cream video probably about, 3 or 4 years ago. I can link it down below about how I set everything up and talk more about what I do during that time. But I wanted to talk to you about some things that I'm doing to make my life so much easier when I come back to school in September. So I'm going to chat with you guys a little bit about that. I'm going to set up my little ice cream stations for the kids, but I'll be sure to check in with you guys a little bit later on. It's a little bit more of a low-key day. I actually have first period prep, so I'll probably check in with you after I set everything up. So I'll check in with you guys in a little bit. I have a couple of minutes before the kids come in, so I just wanted to quickly just show you what's at a typical ice cream station. So I make 3 flavors, vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry. I include a recipe card at each station so the kids can use it to follow the recipe. Every kid brings in a single item. So for example, a kid will bring in a pound of sugar, a student will bring in some strawberries. I provide the ice cream makers. I provide the salt. I actually have the salt sitting right here in a beaker, thermometers, the recipe card, obviously, and then any miscellaneous things. I'll pick up extra spoons just in case, stuff like that. So basically every station I try to put out what the kids need. So this is the strawberry station. So obviously I've got, the strawberries are thawing because these are actually frozen strawberries. I've got some sugar. I've got the ice cream maker. So I use the Rival ice cream makers. I've had them since my first year of teaching. They are so good and they work so well, and it makes a ton of ice cream. So the ice cream goes in this container. It's a lot. For a class of 30 kids, you can definitely feed a whole bunch of them. And I, again, make 3 flavors. So there's actually 3 of these that the kids eat out of. And it's just a good time. It's just really fun for the kids, and they just enjoy making it and enjoy seeing how well they, get it to solidify. So, and then basically while the kids are making the ice cream, spending time cleaning up any of their measuring equipment. So I do have over here, some of the kids brought in their measuring utensils. So you have to have a kid bring in a whisk, a measuring spoon, and then a measuring cup. This is the chocolate station. So yeah, so that's pretty much it for the setup. In the center of the island here, I do have kind of a little place set up for the kids to use some of their paper products. I brought in a few snacks for the kids and cones, and then some of the kids brought in cookies, and yesterday we had cupcakes. So down here I have a cooler. This is where I store all the cold stuff. And we do have an ice maker here, so I just go down to the ice maker and then I store everything in here. So when the kids come in, they just simply put it in the cooler and they're good to go. Well, I'm going to start my day in a couple minutes. My kids are coming in the CP class. They're going to be working on their review packet, so that'll allow me to do any last minute prep work that I need to do, but I'm pretty much all set. It'll be fun for the kids today, but I am really looking forward to cleaning up. I hate when my classroom looks crazy and there's stuff everywhere. So I think it'll be a nice day for the kids, and then I can get busy starting to clean up and start prepping for the end of the school year. I realized there was one thing I forgot today. Today is the day of my summative evaluation, and I'm totally not dressed for the part. Look at me. I even have tie-dye shoes on today because I wanted to, take a picture with my AP kids in their tie-dye. So we took a class picture, so I got that accomplished, but I usually try to dress a little bit more professional for meetings, but I forgot. So it's okay. It's not about how I'm dressed, right? It's the end of the day. It's Friday, so I think they'll understand. Usually we're allowed to wear jeans and stuff on Fridays. Basically, we have to wear spirit wear, which I like. I like being able to show my school spirit. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to necessarily do that today, but it's tie-dye day. So whatever, it is what it is. But I have my summit evaluation. I was going to talk to you guys now actually about what I'm doing to make my life a lot easier when I come back in September, but I don't have time right now, so I'm probably going to have to do that when I get back from my meeting. So I will check in with you guys in a little bit, and hopefully all goes well. Hopefully. I just got back from a meeting with my supervisor, and it was a great meeting. Very, very positive, and I always appreciate that so much. I work really hard. All of us teachers work really, really hard during the school year, and really summative time is a time that I use to kind of showcase the things that I do in my classroom that they don't necessarily get to see when they just come in for a single observation. So I use my documentation log as a way to show all the things that I do outside of the classroom that maybe they don't get a chance to actually observe. So I upload a lot of different artifacts for things that I'm most proud of. For example, there's all these different categories, like there's 6 different categories. So one of them, for example, is professionalism. So I use that as an opportunity to show how I collaborate with colleagues. I also show them how I, fulfilled certain professional responsibilities like communicating with parents via email, phone records. I also provide like extra help, so I have like a Google form that I have the kids fill out for extra help. So I also provide that information. So the professionalism is like a big component to what I include. I also show a lot of my instructional resources. So there's one that's like assessment for and of learning. So maybe I'll show pictures of like artifacts of like feedback that I've given kids. So I'm not really sure like if anybody out there does documentation logs. And so if you're interested in this and it's something that you want me to do a video on, you should definitely leave a comment down below, and then I can definitely maybe do like a tutorial video on how to do it more easily, because it does take a lot of time. Fortunately, this year I actually started it like way early on in the school year, and each time I got some sort of artifact to put into the documentation log, I just uploaded it right away, and then I put my little blurb in. So it made it a lot easier for me this year, but in years past I used to spend a lot of time creating. It was definitely a lot of work, but this year went a lot more smoothly because I was kind of creating it all year long. So let me talk to you guys about some of the things that I'm doing to make my life so much easier in September. Now, in June is when I start kind of winding down for the school year, and I'm getting ready to say goodbye to my kids and clean my classroom, and I'll do all that good stuff. But there are definitely some things that you can do in your classroom that would make your life so much easier when you come back in September. So teacher in June will be very happy as a teacher in September if you do some of the things that you know that you have to do, and then like you can focus on other stuff. So for example, right, very simple, it's the first thing on my list. I'm gonna print these babies for my kids right away. So I have this thermal sensitive paper that I always print their periodic tables on, and then for the AP, so this is the AP periodic table, and then on the back I put their formula sheet. I do the same thing with CP, except for them, they have polyatomic ions on the backside. So I am going to print this because one of the things that I notice is that every time when I come back in September, the paper starts to curl. So I am going to copy a bunch of these for my kids, stick them in page protectors. That way, when the time comes, they're ready to go. I don't have to worry about that. The other thing I'm going to recommend is if you're kind of a more seasoned teacher and you're thinking, my policies and procedures of the class really aren't going to change that much, I would also recommend running those off as well. That's just one less thing you have to do in September. You should try to copy like anything that you know that you automatically have to give out to the kids. So any of those, like if you do like a lab safety contract, if you know that there's like a typical first lab that you always do with your kids, copy that. That way you have it and you don't have to spend time at the copy machine. It'll definitely cut down on the amount of time because it's in use so much, and then God forbid if the copy machine goes down, oh my gosh. So that's something to think about. Try to make all the copies that you can. The second thing that I'm going to do this year, which is a little different this year because this is technically the second year that I've had a classroom, I am going to actually take down my bulletin board. So throughout the school year, I have been taking pictures of my students, and I hung a bunch of their pictures up. I'm actually going to let them take some of the pictures with them at the end of the school year, and I'm going to actually start fresh and just redo my bulletin board. That way it's completely done and ready to go in September. That is a lot of time that I need to take, so maybe while the kids are working on the review packets, maybe during my prep period, I'll just take it down and start over again. That way I can start hanging stuff up as soon as we get back to school. The third thing that you want to definitely do before you leave is get your supply order in. So supplies, I have a love-hate relationship with supplies. I am often so busy at the end of the school year, I don't have time to figure out what I need. So what I started doing is I have a piece of paper and I just write down stuff that I need throughout the school year so that when I'm ready to do my supply order, I will take that information and I will simply input in our supply order system, and I'm able to just order all my stuff that I need. I do kind of hold like a few $100s just in case I need it when I come back and I'm not really sure, like if I ordered everything that I need to order. But I would highly suggest before you leave, make sure you order everything that you need for the following year if possible. You can always look for ideas from other teachers, but I always try to do my supply order before I leave because I know it gets really crazy in September, and they're typically due like September, October. So it kind of takes the heat off of me and I can just focus on getting more acclimated to teaching my classes. The fourth thing I'm going to recommend that you do before you leave for break is to make sure that you have all the lab equipment that you need to complete your first lab. So you want to make sure that you have everything ready to go because that first week of school is always such a whirlwind, at least for me. So I'm going to make sure that I have all the chemicals ready. If I'm doing stations, I'm going to make sure I have all my station signs ready to go. If I need to kind of set up dropper bottles with chemicals, I'm going to set those up if possible. Just again, anything to kind of ease your way back into school. Having that stuff set up is a lifesaver, especially because you want to make sure that you have all the equipment that you need that first week or even that first month so that you're not frantically looking for stuff, especially if somebody borrowed it. Now's the time you can send an email and say, hey, who borrowed my XYZ? And that way you can make sure that you get it back as well. All right, so those are 4 things that I'm definitely going to be doing before I leave for break to make my life a lot easier when I come back in September. What are some things that you do to make your life so much easier when you come back from summer break? I'd love to know what they are. Please leave a comment down below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you had a wonderful weekend, and I'll be sure to check in with you next week for my very last video. I'm so excited, guys. Summer is almost here.